Oh, that's not.
Great. All right, welcome everyone. We're gonna start with the Linwood ambulance budget. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we have your proposed request for the upcoming year 2023. It's like we're looking at a little bit of an increase over last year. Would you like to speak to that? Would you like to speak to that?
Certainly.
Thank you.
We appreciate the support in the previous years of the town. It's been over 5 years since we've asked for an increase or needed an increase. These last couple of years, I think everybody knows what's been going on with the economy. Over a 10% increase in the economy just this last year in inflation. All of the extra expenses with COVID and all the rest of it. The rolling stock in the ambulance is valuable, but our most valuable asset are our personnel. And while we've been able to bring in a lot of outside grant money over the last several years, all of it is restricted against being allowed to use it for personnel costs. And that's really what we're talking about. The other big problem is the fact that 50% of our calls in the town of Woodstock do not generate any revenue at all. So there are calls for service in the town of Woodstock where we provide service to Woodstock residents. And for whatever reason, the calls cannot generate any revenue whatsoever. So those are obviously a major expense. It's almost half our budget of responses to Woodstock. And that total volume, the total number of calls is going up. The percentage of unreimbursable calls is about the same, about half of our calls. And those have to be paid for in some particular way. Majority of this increase goes to support our volunteers. It goes to help pay for them. We have less and less in-town volunteers and people coming from out of town because of the housing problems and other issues here in town.
Great, thank you. I know back in 2017 when we had seen this significant increase, we had kind of discussed, is there a way to kind of project versus like coming all at once 5 years later with a large number, how we could potentially, and I mean obviously this is just kind of looking down the road, how we can kind of increment or raise it just a little bit each year versus a $50,000 increase every 5 years.
If you would prefer to do it annually, we certainly can do that. We're currently in our budget cycle right now, where our fiscal year starts January 1, and the deputy chief and myself are in the process of working on budgeting right now for next year. We can certainly do a year-on-year increase every year if that's what the board preferred.
I think it's worth looking at.
I do too. I think it's easier because if we had gone up each year since 2017, it'd be going up 5,000 or 8,000 a year instead of, and that would just get with this big number. It's just, just a big number for a town like ours. But
It is.
I know it's
extraordinary
necessary, and everything, but I think if we went for an annual increase each year, it'd be easier to do it that way. Sure.
No, I remember when we discussed that, big agreement, $5, $6, $7,000, a lot easier to absorb than 50 all in one chunk. I don't know what the other department does, but they can afford to do it. They'll do what they can afford to do too. But yeah, smaller increases with increments are much easier for us to blend into the overall picture.
Great. Well, thank you all, and thank you to all the volunteers for the service you do provide for both our communities. We do appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate the support of the town. We
Great.
can't do it without this kind of a subsidy.
Thanks for your time this morning. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, we vote at the end, right?
And
Do you wanna
vote for
vote?
that, each one.
You wanna vote as we go along? Okay, all right,
I don't know,
so, oh, you have to
That-
abstain,
that's what we're gonna do, I have to assume.
right, okay. So, I'll make a motion to accept the Linwood ambulance budget, as proposed for 2023 at 125,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All those abstained? Okay, very good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
And
very much.
ladies. All right, next up, we have the fire department budget. Yep.
It's Gabe.
Good morning, John.
Good
Tom.
I gave this new, because I actually don't have a standard, because it's the year-to-date expenses. So how
Okay.
much has changed for me when I uploaded them. That's what.
Awesome. How are you this morning, John?
I'm good, you?
Good, thanks. Good. All right. So we got some new members, congratulations. You got some new members, congratulations.
That's fantastic.
It
Nice
is,
to see.
yeah. Young and ambitious and looking forward to having them there.
Great.
That's good.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. You wanna run down this with us?
As far as the line items. you mean?
Yeah, anything, well, obviously, you know,
You
the
see-
biggest one is payroll, yeah,
Payroll, yeah,
okay,
yeah. Like I said, I got 4 new members and I believe 3 of them are gonna be there for every call. They're
okay,
gung ho and most of them can make it, the call. So that's why I increased the payroll budget and, this year it's, I'm gonna be maybe a little over budget, but one of that reason was also this year we're doing 13 months rather than 12 because of the change of quarterly. So
Yeah.
December's in this year, last December's in this year, so it's 13
Right.
months. So that's why I think it's gonna be a little over,
okay,
just so you know.
thanks for clarifying that.
And I didn't know at the time too, what, if you're doing raises this year or percentage or anything, so I didn't,
Okay,
so
so
that,
that increase doesn't include,
that increase wouldn't be, I'm sure, enough to
to include
increase
raises,
the raise and stuff. yes.
That includes it?
that includes it,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
I believe
Because we've
that.
been kind of looking at 8%.
right, which that is up about 30%, so that should give you a
Enough
little, enough wiggle room
Yep.
for both.
Yeah, and then again, it all depends on calls for the year too.
Sure.
Right,
It's-
right.
We don't know,
We can't
but-
say, boom, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been averaging from 125 to 150 calls. And-
Okay.
And this year, we're gonna be right at, right now. I think we're at 134, 35, and we still have 2 months left, 2.5. I didn't add in October, so we have October, November, December, so
Okay.
it's,
So this last.
So,
it's gonna be close.
a lot of those are maybe vehicle type things on the highway or covering for other departments when.
A lot,
mutual aid and-
a lot of motor vehicle accidents, and there's a lot of alarms. We have
Yeah.
smoke alarms, fire alarms, carbon monoxide alarms.
All calls you gotta roll.
That's right. Operating, I kept the same.
Yep.
New equipment the same. Training the same.
Looks like your outlay for the combo tool, that came down a little bit.
No, the 17,000 was last year's tool, which was
Oh,
higher.
okay.
So this year's tool is
Little
less
less.
expensive.
Little less expensive, right? Okay,
Yeah,
What is it? I'm just-
it's a cutter that we're going for this year. It's a battery operated one and it just cuts. It does, the combi tool does, spreading and cutting. This one just does
That's
cut.
cool. No, it's
It's
just
a bigger tool.
Yeah.
And in right, that is, yeah. There was an increase on it, because I did do an outlay of the tools.
That's right.
Find it now.
yeah,
And so when he gave me the prices, it was 12.4, but he said there's gonna be an 8% increase every year. So that's why it's at 12.9 rather than 12.4 this year.
okay. Okay, that's good. The only other line item I saw on there was the fire equipment, just looking at the expense on that, I think it should go up to 5,000 from 15 to 20. If we're gonna be able to hit our mark on that. in the coming years for, the turnout gear and the air packs. I think we increase it a little bit this year, because it looks like yearly contribution should be somewhere around 30,000. And right now we're at 15, so if we go up 5,000 this year, that takes us a little bit closer. And then each year, if we're able to, yeah, each year, if we're able to go a little bit more. Yeah. Does that sound reasonable to you?
It does.
Okay.
Yep, for sure. I'll take any extra.
Sure.
It's a terrible idea.
But on turnout gear too, also, we were looking at, life expectancy 10 years replacing everybody. This year you did do a purchase order for, I think, 6 sets.
Okay.
And what I'm gonna do, I think now is try to do so many sets a year so we don't have a big hit in 10 years and stuff.
Okay, we'll stagger it a little bit
Yeah,
more.
this will stagger it, so. Of course, with the 4 new guys, 3 of them. Three of them I put in new gear. They needed new gear. We keep on trying to rotate, the guys that have gone and our older gear and stuff, but it's just, we had to update them. And then the officers we brought up, so we're gonna. Try to improve on getting newer gear all the time. So, yeah, the only thing will be the air packs.
Yeah, that's the one that was kind of raising my eyebrows,
Yeah.
like 8% over
Yeah.
the next 50 years is gonna more than double it.
Yeah.
Nice. Very good. What else you got for us?
Fire truck.
All right,
I assume you got all the information on that, I hope.
there's some information in here. Bulldogs,
Yes,
okay. So what do we got? So this is the one for 2024,
yes,
okay,
because it takes, we checked with E1 and they were out over 2 years to get one. So that's why we checked with this Bulldog and they can do it for next year's, but we have to order it in 2023 to get it in 2024. If you wait until 2024, you're not gonna get it until 2025, maybe 26. Even though he says, read down and he says delivery is subject to all clauses, but approximately 180 to 225 days from receipt of the chassis. And we're not sure when he's gonna have a chassis either, so we could be close to 2025.
right,
Hopefully, it's within a year, but just that's why we're doing it now, and that's why we're.
Where were we with the capital reserve on that?
all right, well, we never pay them off, we never buy them in.
Oh, we never buy them full?
So when's our last payment on this current,
2024.
in December 2024 or early 20, do you know approximately?
Just the 2024 budget, that's what I don't know the date.
Okay.
We'll appropriate in 2024 to make the final payment.
What she's looking at those, yeah, we'll have to double up in 2024 because we'll have 2 payments. I think that's what Cheryl's thinking.
Yeah, if you ordered, you would.
Well,
You
we
have to
got,
have a warrant article in 2023
Which is this March.
for this March, for this purchase.
well, we just don't know when that payment ends. I mean, it could
It
work out
ends in
fine.
2024.
Yeah, but what month?
It's a 2024 budget, so I'm saying it doesn't matter what month,
Oh, we don't pay it on a monthly, we pay
one
one
payment.
payment.
Oh, okay.
One payment in,
So we
for
would
you.
have.
So you'd have 2 payments in 2024.
Potentially have
Yes.
2 payments in 2020.
How much is the payment?
I don't
know
know,
you
you
can't
can
have it on the top.
look on your, if you go online and look at the town report.
Yeah.
The schedule will be in there. Or maybe it's on his, actually,
Is it on this sheet?
it might be on his capital reserve.
The one we're talking about with the payment that gets out, that's the current one that you're looking to replace. This
Right.
pumper tanker truck.
Yeah.
So we would have a payment left on that.
2024.
Would be,
50,000 is the, oh no, this is
No,
the capital
this is
reserve,
what we're appropriating to it,
right,
for the 2024 purchase.
gotcha.
So I think if you go on the web and go to our town report,
You know, quicker.
And this one that
I can do it.
this one that's retiring is gonna actually not really retire, it's just gonna move to the lower firehouse.
the engine, yes, the 2024, let's do the engine, yes, we're gonna keep that, but the tanker that's in 1988, we're gonna give it to Mike Welch to flush out culverts or whatever. he
Okay.
wants to do with that.
But that one's already been taken off the roster, right?
It's still on, we got it down to the
Oh.
lower station right now, because of the
Okay.
Green Bridge being out, we can't cross that bridge,
Right,
so we moved it
right.
down there, so if something
Okay.
happens on that side of the river, on the
Get
backside, we
something.
can come up from the lower station.
Okay,
Also on this, Bulldog, he says, you're looking at 10 to 12% every year, so if we wait another year, 2024, you're looking at another $50,000.
Sure.
So, like everything, it goes up every year, but
so we're looking at this 455 plus
Awesome, it's a lot of things.
Bus
the 30,
equipment
another
for
40.
yes.
And so. So we're looking at about $500,000. When we got. And we got. Capital reserve balance,
Should we put a little more in there this year?
so we got 200,000 in there right now. Problem is,
we don't fully fund the fire.
No,
That's
no.
what it's-
Finance at least half of them.
Right. That's what this looks like about half.
I did give you a sheet too, also from their financing for Bulldog, they have a good leasing program and stuff, we can check out too.
So lease purchase.
have we ever leased a fire truck?
Not that I know of.
Okay,
So 714.
No, option, no.
You'll be making
We
like a
cost it,
$37,000 payment in 2024 and 2023. So
Okay, so
you have
it,
a payment in 2023 of 37,000 and a payment in 2024 of 37,000, roughly rounded.
so we double that year, it's probably gonna be about 37 and 37.
Well, if
It
you have a
would be
warrant, you do, you have to pay this year because they'll have a warrant article to,
In 2023, you'll have to.
you're gonna have 2
Yeah,
years of double
exactly.
payments. Oh,
so maybe this is a Laura question. We can't have a warrant article that commits to this fire truck for him and then first payment in fiscal year 2024. Yes.
no, you probably could do, what you can't do is John can't place an order for a truck without a warrant article being voted on.
Right,
Right,
right.
So you can have a warrant article,
that commits the town to this truck in 2023 with this.
Delivery of
speculation, or with
2024.
Delivery in 2024, first payment in 2020.
So that we would only have 1 year
well,
of double.
he's gonna make sure that this company is okay with that. It's really, that's in the company's,
Sure,
because if he orders in 2023 and they're good with that,
They did say something about, I'm trying to find it now, on that paper, that you wouldn't have to pay for a year.
oh,
so,
That wasn't in
as
the-
long as the warrant.
good,
article-
that we got 1 year of double.
Delayed
payments.
payment starting
Yeah.
paying next fiscal year, so they would.
So we would commit in 2023, but pay in 2024.
As long as he just can't place an order without.
Oh, no,
Right,
no.
right, not
Without,
until March,
Yeah.
until it passes. in
right, and
March.
without having the warrant article to give him permission,
Right.
because
Right.
that's where you get the,
DRA
he can't spend money without having the
No.
permission to vote, so
Yeah,
that's what he's, I think, asking to do.
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
well, that sounds like a plan.
That sounds, reasonable. Yeah, right there it is highlighted right there, delayed payment starting paying next fiscal year. Okay. So if we go forward with this, we still can't commit until after town meeting in March.
And I would have them, put something in writing that says that, they're recognizing that we can't make a payment until.
And maybe they can guarantee that price till after.
They can only guarantee out like a month there. It's terrible. Oh, yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
I see the lease purchasing also is It's a lease with an option.
Yeah, let's look at that.
I think it's worth.
I think so.
I think that's worth looking at, plus it's tax.
Yeah.
Are other agencies leasing now? Is that what they're going to?
I mean, it's a couple
Well,
of.
just.
I mean, I just
look at
want
it
to
anyway.
know, I'm just wondering what the norm is for other,
I don't know what other departments.
are they
do,
starting to do that? Or is this something new that you've never?
No, I
used?
think they've been out there for a
They
while.
haven't?
Oh, yeah. You know,
Just wondering
lease purchase,
what-
you-
There might be some.
Not a bad
conflict.
idea.
Why don't
that-
you just compare the rates, that's all.
After we bought the ladder truck, that was an option that we looked at, was to lease the second half, I believe. And then you guys ended up, I think, going through Union Bank because they smoked the rate that was
Yeah.
given to you by E1 Leasing Corporation.
I think you're
So
gonna
you
find
want-
a note's gonna be cheaper than the lease, but I think it's worth looking at for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my experience anyway.
I have a contact number for the woman that handles all that.
Yeah, it's-
I'll
I
get
think it's
it to
worth
you.
a conversation.
Okay, yeah. Great. All right, so. We are gonna increase the overall budget by 5,000, so that would put us at 178,917, correct? So, I think we should do this in two separate motions. So a motion to accept the budget with the 5,000 increase to the capital reserve fire equipment. So that's my motion to
Yeah.
accept that budget.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. So then the other motion is to place a special warrant article.
2 seconds.
Scott, yeah, sorry. I'll slow down a little bit. That's been bad.
Okay, go ahead.
So the second would be to place a warrant or a special warrant article for town meeting this year to authorize the fire chief to enter, is it
It's just to purchase the.
to
truck.
purchase?
Yeah, we'll do the standard, warrant,
Language,
yeah.
okay. For the, new fire pumper tanker truck.
And I have a warrant, I'm just gonna put.
I'll
warrant
second that.
article for new
Yeah.
truck.
All those in favor?
For you to purchase
Aye.
new.
All
Aye.
I think it was really good.
Thanks.
That's mine.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much for all your hard work and
No, it's-
have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too.
Oh my good
You
lord.
too, Tom. Thank you.
But it works.
Now you got mine, this is mine,
So now we've got,
just use it.
you want to start with the easy one first? We'll start with the
I can't
emergency management one,
Sure.
have it,
because
so.
there's no changes on that, so it's a quick.
Nope, I like that
Yeah,
budget.
you're doing
It's,
nice.
it's more than sufficient if there was an emergency and there's very little that we have to do to maintain our stuff.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Where's Big White? Is it up there?
No, I took it down to Merrimack. It needs state inspection on a big truck.
Oh,
And
yep,
the rear door has been rotted through. And if you can imagine the garage door at your house, there's
Right.
like cables.
right.
Those cables snapped and could be extremely dangerous for somebody working under it. So I got a quote of roughly $1,100 to replace the door. I'm like, let's do it.
It's on the emergency
It's
management.
easy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so everything that emergency management is right now in the Sally Port at the PD.
Okay.
I don't know what my password is now.
Great, so I would say,
Now we're both at home.
No, we can't do it.
I entertain a motion to accept the emergency management budget as presented.
Second,
Bill seconded it.
yeah.
Carol made the motion, Bill made the second. All those in favor? Aye, okay, so that's all set. So do you, can we pause for a minute? Yeah.
He's now got me signed out and signed out. Oh. Wait, is that you?
Oh, that one.
Yeah, it's not mine.
Yeah. One of each.
No. It's been a whirlwind in the last couple of days. Okay, so I can type this password in with your user and it works. On
It
your-
doesn't work on mine.
This is yours.
Oh.
Keep it on you then. Okay, now. We only bring you for the
I
entertainment,
know it.
and now I don't need to go to my own.
This is not helping.
Oh,
All right,
it's okay. It's all
all right, Kev. We've got your budget and some notes.
I sent everybody kind of a narrative, see where my head was at before we came here today.
Right,
Did you receive that?
we did. We just- oh,
So originally, I very much wanted to just keep the budget flat. Wanted to keep it exactly where it's at. But where last year we focused on recruitment. I have to worry about retention. It seems like weekly I have somebody making an offer to one of the officers trying to steal them. I don't know that we can replace people easily, mostly because of the housing issue. Right now, I've got officers commuting from Laconia, Meredith, to come to work here for us. I did look individually at each position and recommend somewhere between $1 and $2 an hour for a raise. And then factor that into payroll for the 2023 budget year. Most notably, I think Detective Rico took the title of detective with the pay of entry-level officer. And he's grown into that role with some success. I sent you an email yesterday. I'd really like to see his pay rate raised so we can retain him. It wouldn't be hard for Center Harbor to steal him, which they've already tried to do. Promises of more money in a take-home car. That's right next to Meredith.
I'm not being.
No, that's just fine.
okay.
I think you have the outline there, but I can go over each officer if you like.
No, I don't think you need to go down through each one. We're trying to-
It's public resolution.
So you're looking at the documents that you outlined.
I'm sorry, it's at $3. I apologize.
Yep. No, I got all that. And so when you added everybody up, your bottom line down here was about 485.
Yeah, slightly less, but yes.
Yeah. But the document coming through is at 551.
So we have to factor in overtime. If you remember last year, we were unsure of the data. We didn't know exactly where those numbers lied. That's a Freudian slip. Where the numbers were. And so we kind of rested on 1,600 hours of overtime, but I got a printout from Judy earlier this year, which shows that our overtime. That's right. Our overtime hours are on track to be 2,100 hours. So I based an additional 2,100 hours of overtime at a average overtime rate. I averaged all the officers. And less $10,000 because I think I can dial it back this year. We started out with 2 officers that were, one was uncertified, so he was doubled up. And the second one had to return to the academy to regain the certification that he lost. So there was several months where those 2 officers were being paid. Essentially, one shift was getting a double payment, right? So if I can maintain the staff that we have this year and spread those officers out, I think that we're gonna save money.
So you're thinking the decrease in overtime and stuff like that's gonna make up for the raises, not all the way, but some of it, yeah.
I can't speak to that. Right now,
You hope that.
so right now is a funny time. I have officers, brand new officers, 3 of them who have no vacation time. It hasn't stopped them from taking time off. Because that work-life balance, people don't care, they just want the time off. And so we're covering those shifts. Now this year will be 1 year with these new officers, they're gonna receive their vacation time. They're going to take that vacation time, we're gonna have to cover that, so I don't know the answer.
Sure.
But I think that we're gonna save money because I spent extra money at the beginning of the year with those officers who weren't performing for us.
Oh, so you didn't have anybody, you didn't really.
Technically, no, those officers were doubled up.
Yeah.
You know, on an FTO program or a holding pattern, waiting to get their certification.
I have this, the 8% that we talked
Yeah.
about for all departments. Pretty much lines up exactly with,
It
except
does.
for his. His is a little low, what he's presented is lower than what the 8% would be.
If you're talking about my pay rate, I would prefer to give that money to my officers, and I genuinely mean it.
Well, actually, the 8%, would be a little bit more than what he's projected for Sergeant Corporal.
But overall,
Detective would have to come up a little bit, but overall, yeah.
Yeah.
It's spot on,
Yeah.
so, we could go with what he's recommending for each officer,
okay,
and that would cover
in this budget.
in this budget, yeah.
Again, from the police, it's hard to tell too, you know, you could have some events. That blows it out of the water.
Right, or holidays, for instance, we have the month of December. People want that time off, and it doesn't have to be Christmas, it could be the week before.
Sure.
I gotta backfill those shifts. If we had a critical incident, or like, for instance, we just recently had an investigation that took a little extra time. It's entirely possible that things are gonna change in the month of December. I just can't predict all of it.
Right, yeah.
It's fluid. And Judy did print a budget for me this morning, and where I was worried that I was gonna go over, it looks like I'll be giving you money back this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so if we can keep on track with that, I'd be very pleased to always return money to you. I don't want to blow up the budget, run it right out to zero. That's not my, it's not my style. I want to treat your money as if it's my own.
So, I guess we would entertain a motion to accept the police department public safety budget as presented.
I'll second.
Awesome. All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Where do we stand with the police cruiser saga?
Okay.
I was just curious.
So, let's see. I believe it was 2020 was the first time that we have trouble ordering. I think 2020 we couldn't order one. 2000. I guess it's easier to do it reverse. So last year I tried to order 2 police cars, and our dealership canceled the order. So you got them in too late. So I went to Massachusetts Central Dodge, had 2 orders they had already placed, and I was able to purchase those orders. And then they came back and canceled it. Year before, we had put in for a police car, and they said, absolutely, we just don't have one. You can't have it. There's nothing. Of course, all the prices keep going up. So this year I put in for 2 police cars that may show up in 2023. And we're slated for 2023 to purchase another. And I think I will wait until the budget goes to vote, and if it gets approved in 2023 in April, I'll put in an order for an additional car. And that'll get some of the older cars off the lot and newer cars in the fleet.
That's an FYI, Bill, it's not on our end that we can't buy a cruiser, they're just not available.
I put in an order for the vehicle January 4th.
So you have it,
I can't get it.
Oh, yeah.
And they did not promise.
Yeah. We waited a year.
They did not promise that we would receive these cars, only that if you get it in sooner, it's more likely that you'll receive them.
Sure. Yeah.
So we got them in the day it opened, we got the paperwork in. I think we're gonna see 2, I don't know if we'll see 3.
And we've encumbered the money, so
So we have it.
it's not impacting his.
We're shifting 1 or 2 of them though to Durangos, correct?
So
Versus the
I,
driving.
I had asked the board once before to keep the Ford Explorer. Apparently it's worthless, it's not worth anything to anybody. And so as long as it runs, we might as well use it as like a utility.
Sure.
I gotta move winter tires back and forth or pick up
Yeah.
somebody's dog. It's the perfect vehicle for it. But ultimately, the 2017 would go away. And we would ignore the Explorer, it would remain there. And then with the additional car, we'll revisit that, but if we were to keep the cars that we had in play, everybody could be assigned to their own vehicle. Now and again, damage occurs on these cars. And when you're assigned to a vehicle, I can hold you accountable for it. If there's damage on your car, it's likely that you caused the damage. So we're one shy of having a car for every officer. And then if we were to have, like, let's say we've invested some money in the 17, it's still running and the value is, you know, less than $7,000. Maybe the town would consider keeping a spare car, you know, in the fleet. So when one breaks down, we just slide people into the spare car. Or if a part-time police officer comes on, we'll have an additional car.
Because it's not really worth anything anyway.
Well, I think the Charger has some value. The Explorer does not.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, when these cars come in, we'll see what the value is. And then I'll approach the board to see if you want to keep it or try to collect that money.
So, we should, I'm kind of looking at, we keep one of the older cars all the time, just.
As a-
I think we've been doing that.
We have.
Yeah, I believe it started with Ryan Olson's Charger.
They did.
And then we went ahead and found a fantastic opportunity for that car. They gave us $15,000 through Team O'Neill. And every year I use that for winter driving training on the officers. I send them right up there and it's already paid for. It's paid for from that car from what, 2011?
It's been a while.
What's the schedule on your new part-timer? Is he not on board yet, right?
No, and there's no rush. That fella can't go to the part-time academy until next September. Not on us, but there's just less part-time officers through the state. They want to shy away from it. Massachusetts did away with it completely. So they're only going to hold one part-time academy. And when I reached out to the academy to see when the next one was available, they said, you missed the deadline. It's now. We won't have another one until next year. So he can work hip to hip, which means if I have a detail requiring 3 officers, he can work the detail. If I had a FTO period or some training, which is the value, we can use him as a training officer. But to cover shifts on his own on a midnight just wouldn't work until after he's gone to regain his certification.
Anything else?
Only that I'd like to note the body cameras here.
Yes.
I want to look really hard at getting a 50% grant to offset that cost. And then if, of course, if we can't obtain a grant, I think it's time that we make that purchase. They've already shot me an email and said, hey, look, the price of cameras is going up by 10% in December. Do you want to buy them now? And I didn't respond. I think I can negotiate for the original price in January. If we don't have the grant that we wanted, I think I can do something with that. And if not, then we'll just have to eat it.
Seems like there's grant money out there, but I don't know what everybody's looking for.
There is grant money. We focused our efforts on one grant, which was, we were hoping for $50,000, which would carry us through the lease program for 5 years. That came through at like, I believe $8,000 is the award we received, which isn't enough. And then we would commit to the purchase of these cameras and we would remove ourselves from the grant process in the future. If we allocate funds for body cameras specifically, it precludes us from applying for grants. But where we've never had a program and we don't have a line item for those, I can apply for grants.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll receive a grant by town meeting, and if I don't, then I think capital reserve should be used for that purchase. And if it isn't, then we'll update our firearms with the remaining funds.
Anything else?
No.
I don't have any more questions.
We need to go into non-public session real quick under RSA 91-A:3, Number 2A, personnel.
It's never good.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, so 9:38. Non-public stuff.
RSA, can you tell me the one